Okay, so let's get straight to the meat and bones. You're here because you want to get a job as a data scientist. First of all, we're assuming that you have the skills and that you're ready for interviews. Okay, this is not a video on how to prepare to become a data scientist. This is a video on how to get a job as a data scientist if you're already prepared, if you already have the skills you need. Okay, so first of all, let's visualize something here. We're going to visualize a standard distribution curve. Okay, so or rather a bell curve. Okay, now I want you to imagine yourself as a data point of this standard distribution curve. And imagine all the people applying for jobs. This is all the people applying for the dream job that you want. Okay. You don't want to be here at the -4 level because you're never ever even you're not even gonna get past the screening round, right? You want to be here. You want to be at number 4, okay, as close as you can to number 4 as possible. So how do you get there? Well, you have to do the things that 99% of other people aren't willing to do for whatever reason. So let's say from -4 to -2, these are people who probably don't even have the skills or qualifications to become a data scientist, right? And you'd be surprised with how many people actually do this. -2 to 0, let's just say they probably send very generic CVs, maybe use easy apply. They've just sort of shotgun their application to several hundred companies, right? These guys also aren't going to pass screening and they're still below average. At this point, 0 to 2, this is when things get a little bit more interesting, right? So this is the people who do a little bit more than average. So maybe they tailor their applications. Maybe they look at the hiring manager. Maybe they try to interact on LinkedIn. This is the kind of things that they do. And from 2 to 4, this is uh, a very small part of this sample. Okay, these are the types of people who deliver value upfront. And what do I mean by deliver value upfront? Well, they might identify a certain pain point or business problem that their dream company is having, and they solve it. They build a project or they build a solution for that particular problem. Okay, this is 2 to 4. They might also attend networking events, which I guarantee you 95% of people do not do. And these people also know how to do their job. They're very, very well rounded applicants and they're doing everything right, a lot more than everyone else here. So, this is where you want to be. And how do we get to that place? Okay, so let me tell you how you get to that place. Okay, first off, what you want to do is you want to tailor each application. I know this sounds very obvious, but this is what you want to do. So I'll give you an example. The past 3 jobs I've had, I never had to even give in my CV or my cover letter. Okay. Well, let's say the past 2 jobs. The third one, I'm not too sure, but I know for a fact, two out of my last 3 jobs, the CV and cover letter was not needed. I didn't even send it in. I was hired because I was recommended by someone that the hiring manager or person who's making decisions really trusted. That's how I got the job. My most recent job, I had to give a CV and cover letter. But if I'm being very honest, I think it was more of a formality just so they can sort of get a general understanding of my background rather than them screening through it and understanding if I'm fit for the role. Because I was also recommended for this job as well. Which leads me on to my next point. Okay. Uh, the way you get recommendations or the way you get hired through your network is by attending events related to your industry. And that goes back to tailoring your application, right? So think about this. If your company is someone who speaks at a particular type of event, or the company you want to work for is a company that always goes to a particular type of event, it might be worth you going to that event, right? So that you can talk to people who they are targeting for their services, and so you can talk to the company themselves. And maybe you can get a better understanding of what their pain points might be and what they're looking for in a data scientist. And it might not be the first event where you get all this information, it might be the second, third, fourth. And that might sound like a lot of work, but that's what the 1% is doing compared to the other 99% that aren't doing this. Right? And I actually know 2 people in my current company that got hired in this way. They went up to the CEO of the company and they said, well, look, this is a business problem that you're having. This is how to fix it. And it wasn't like, give me a job, I can fix it. It was like, this is just a business problem you're having. I think it'd be really good if you were able to do this. And from that, they had a conversation and they were able to work an agreement so that they could work together. And now this person now has a job at the company I work for right now. So this is something you can do to increase your chances, right? And if you do this, guaranteed 95% of people aren't doing this, right? So you're already in the top 5% already just by doing that. Okay, so tailor each application. Avoid CVs that blend in and avoid CVs that are sort of generic. Okay, if you want to work for a finance company, your CV should be tailored for a finance company. If you want to work for real estate companies, it should be tailored for that. Healthcare, it should be tailored for that, right? You need to lock in to your particular niche and find out what it is you really want to do. Okay, and that might be asking some tough questions of yourself and finding out what you want from a data scientist role. Okay, now this goes into understanding your field. If you want to go into finance, it's unlikely you're going to be using computer vision models. However, if you're going into healthcare, well, you might be using a lot of dashboards, right? Maybe some people might want to see where the pain point is or where the blockage is or the bottleneck is in a particular service they're providing. Maybe Ward 2 is using too many beds and their average bed usage time, the time that a patient stays in a bed, is 6 weeks above the average. And there you can identify a problem, right? You can be like, well, that's an issue. Someone can solve this, okay? These are the types of things you want to solve. These are the types of pain points that you can solve if you have access to the data and if you talk to people in your industry where you want to work, okay? So how do you find the necessary skills to be able to tailor your application, tailor your portfolio, and tailor your approach to go to these networking events? Well, let me show you something else, okay? This is, well, I hope you guys know what this is. This is LinkedIn, okay? And you can see here, this is a data scientist role. Now, this is 60,000 to 80,000 a year. And this is probably after 1 or 2 years experience, but this is still a pretty good place to start, okay? So it says here what you need. It says data transformation, assessing quality, cleansing, structuring for downstream processing. Includes identifying data sources. Accurate and scalable prediction algorithms, time series prediction, modeling and reinforcement learning. It tells you the technology stack. It tells you everything you want, okay? It tells you all of these things. This qualification characteristics thing, I'm a little bit 50-50 on this because it does matter to some people. But if you can prove to that person you can do the job and you don't have a bachelor's degree in math or computer science or engineering, you'll be fine. But sometimes getting to that point is difficult. That's why I say go to the networking event so you can bypass that point and you can go straight to the person who's making a decision, right? You don't need to go through like a middle manager who doesn't really know what data scientist is and they're just been like, oh, I've heard they need a degree in mathematics or that's what I think they need. You can be like, no, I can do the job. Here, I've done it. This is your pain point. I've solved it. There you go. Okay. You can deliver value up front, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So you can find out what you need. Okay, Python, SQL, DBT. I actually have no idea what this is. Snowflake, Power BI. Okay. So, okay, I need Python, I need SQL, I need Snowflake, I need Power BI, I need whatever this DBT thing is. What about this job? What about this role? Oh, okay. Let's take a look. A little bit more vague. Okay, they want a bachelor's degree in computer science, SQL, Python, confident data modeler with statistical and visualization techniques. Okay, so they want data viz, good stats, a gaming enthusiast. This might be good for a lot of people. Excellent communicator. Okay, these are all things that you can work on, right? So now you have a really good basis for understanding what kind of things, what kind of skills you need to be able to put yourself in front of a potential employer. Okay. So that's how you can find out what you need to know to get yourself in front of the right people. Now, there is another way, which is much more time intensive, but it has a much better ITR, which is interview through rate. And that's just a made up index I made, but you get the idea, right? Okay, so this is for the people who have networked, made a good impression, and followed the previous steps. So if you've done all the previous things, and you're now in a position where you're sort of getting interest from companies, especially companies you want to work for, which is the idea, right? What can you do? Well, you know their pain points. You know what skills you need as a data scientist. Okay, so build a project for the potential employer. Okay, if you work for a finance company and they're having issues building a predictive model for a certain security or stock or whatever it is they're trying to do, you can build that solution. And they're not expecting you to be a perfect candidate straight away, right? They're not expecting you to have a production grade algorithm within a week. These things take time. So build something just to show them that you can do the job and hey, this is what I did in 2-3 hours of my time. I hope you like it. This is the sort of pain points that identifies. This is what I did. This is how it'd be really good for your business, right? So pitch it to them in that way. Tell them how it'd be really good for them if they were to implement something like this. And they might come up with a solution like, hey, we've done that already. It didn't work for this reason. And then you can be like, oh well, if it didn't work for XYZ reason, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And you can get into a conversation with them about what it is they need. Okay, and then you can start following up with this person at the next networking event, or maybe through their DMs or through LinkedIn or through their email, through their phone number. Depends how close you get at that point. And you can follow up with a second project or a second solution to whatever it is they have an issue with. Okay, so maybe it's creating a dashboard, maybe it's time series analysis, maybe it's visualization. It could be a lot of things, right? But you need to make sure you're hitting their pain point. So if this gets your foot in the door and you get an interview, what do you do? Well, maybe in the interview they give you some more information, but well, if you're into this role, if you come into this company, this is what you'd be doing. Okay, maybe you're like 80% there and they kind of want to hire you, but they have 3 other applicants and they might have like, a master's in math or a master's in computer science, which makes them a very attractive candidate, right? Okay, how can you beat these odds? Build a second project. They've already told you what you'll be doing in the interview, right? They've given you a lot more information now because now you're considered a candidate. So ask yourself, what do they need? Build that particular thing for them. Message them, hey, it's great to meet you. I really love meeting the team. I noticed that you said XYZ in the meeting or in the interview. Here's a project or solution that will help you fix that problem. I hope you find it useful. More than willing to have a chat about it so I can tell you how I did this or how this can be implemented within your company, right? And that will get you into some very powerful conversations with people who are maybe data scientists, maybe tech leads, maybe hiring managers, or maybe people who can make the decision to bring you on board. Now, this might seem like a lot of work. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work, right? That's why I'm saying 99% of people won't do these steps. They won't do this thing to get the job. And this is going to help you beat those candidates who have really good qualifications, like a math degree or a stats degree, maybe even a postgrad, who have maybe some experience, and other candidates who maybe are on the same level as you and they've showed enthusiasm and initiative, and maybe they also sort of vibe with the company and they have similar values, right? This is going to help you beat all of those candidates. Okay, and this can take as little as 6 to 8 hours to build the projects, plus the meeting times when you see them at networking events. It takes a lot of time. Okay, but this is what you need to do. If you do these steps, I guarantee you can potentially have a job in 6 weeks or less. Okay, depending on how long it takes for you to build a rapport with that particular person in the company. At these networking events, you can definitely get a job within 6 weeks. Okay, so I hope you find this video really useful. I know I really wanted something like this when I started working, and actually I realized a lot of these things after I started working because I got my job through a recommendation as well, like I mentioned. And if I had known to approach employers at networking events where they would be pitching to potential customers, I would have got a job way sooner. It took me like 13 months to get a job, right? If I did this, it would have taken me definitely less than 3, and I would expect around 6 weeks, if I'm being honest. So take a look at where you are with your data scientist journey. Try to implement these steps, and I think you'll be in a really good position to get a job within 6 weeks. So hopefully you find this video useful. Hopefully you appreciate my very direct and straightforward approach. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.